find the document for you very quickly. Let me share that document to you. Okay, so you guys can see that even though if you move to a Cisco router, the command may be different, but okay, there the way you write a scripting languages, what a scripting we'll discuss in a minute, right? The syntax will be exactly same. This is the way you create a variable. I should explain how to create the variable. Okay, how to create the echo command. Same. This is a Cisco router, but all the shell command, the syntax, how to create the loop, this kind of condition. If do this, else if close, right? For loop is same, exactly same. Okay, so that is a reason. That is a reason. Okay, even though scripting look like very older world, it is there because we are using from the last decade, but it's very standard in the market. Okay, because nowadays we are moving toward a different automation tool like Ansible that I also recommend a lot, but they're not standard. Not every operating system, not every device by default support it. Okay, for example, if I say I want to do a automation with the Ansible is just one example, it's a newer kind of tool, those who don't know. Okay, and I want to do something on my Cisco router. I want to run my Ansible scripts. This is called playbooks. Can I do on the Cisco router? No, they don't support by default. We can do something, but by default doesn't support. But what I'm trying to tell you guys, in the real world, installing any third-party tool, third-party agents, hardware software is sometime not possible. Okay, so if you want your respective devices command, okay, can be controlled by the logic. One logic I explained to you already, that if do this, otherwise this happen. Run this command. If not run, then do this. This is called controlling the commands or putting the programming logic on the top of this. We need a tool. We need a shell that is standard support in all the areas. And that is the reason, guys, is so must. Whichever field you are in, from the security admin, IT admin, cloud admins, network admins, right? Whichever area you are in, somehow you are hitting to some of the operating system and the devices. Okay, and whichever the command you're working over there, and if you want that command to be automated, what I mean by automated we'll discuss in a minute, right? But if you want to automated and the command to be controlled with your logics, okay, then knowing the shell is important. Which shell? That is standard, and the standard shell in the market is bash. And that is the reason that this training is about bash shell. But what is scripting? What is scripting? Scripting means if you're running one command, let's say you have some plan, you want to do something like this. Let's say you want to run the read command, then you run the cal command, then you do the list command. So these three commands you have, and you want to run this command again and again and again, multiple times. Obviously, this is a very basic command, but you have some other command for doing backup, for installing software, if you're doing patches, okay, to some setting firewall, some security, so setting up the environment for the databases, for the machine learning environment, whichever field you guys are in. Okay, so you have some set of command to perform every time. Okay, so rather you type this command again and again and again by yourself, it takes a lot of time, it wastes the time, plus there's a possibility some kind we miss, sometimes we forget some part, we give them spelling mistakes maybe. Okay, so what can we do? We can put all the command in a file. Okay, so let me create a file here. vim is one command in Linux to create a file. Let me create a file with my file, for example, and I can type all the commands here in the same sequence. I want to run the first read command, then I want to run the cal command, then the ls command. So all the commands step by step you write for setting up the machine learning environment, to set up the databases, to patch the system, to upgrade the system, to back up the things, whatever the activity you want to perform. Here are some steps, or that steps to be done by commands. Put all the command in the file. Why we put in the file? First thing is this file will like a document for you. Like a document. This is first thing we'll do, then this will do, then this will do, like a document. But this file also help you in one way. Now onward, I don't have to type this command manually and run it. what I can do, I can ask my bash program, come here under this program, file form. And all the command automated run for. See here, bread command, cal command, and list command. Run for. So in this case, whatever you're doing is being what? Automated. Now, anytime you want to run maybe tens of thousands of command, click here, run it, click here, run it. That's all. This is what the automation is. And how we achieve the automation? By the help of this file. Okay, and this file, guys, is normally known as script. So we scripted our thing, we documented our thing. So we document our thing into this file. So documenting your command, putting your command step by step in the file is like a script, right? We get a script for this. SK finally helping me to achieve sorry, to achieve the automation. To achieve the automation here. Okay, and that's what the plan for this training is. Okay, so if you want to do anything in the Cisco router, setting the VLANs, setting some protocols, all this command put in one file. Okay, put in one file. Okay, and save the file, and whenever you want to set up something, run it. Okay, again run it. What a document you create, share your team. So that team don't have to configure and set up again from the scripts. They will also run this file. So their server and their system too, we also configure. Okay, so there's a power of automation. Okay, and that is the topic for today's class. Okay, so today there's a lot of shell available in the market. Okay, but we are going to use bash shell as a software, as a program. But here my plan is not to using a bash shell. Those who know Linux, they keep on using everyday basis, a command prompt or shell prompt. Okay, but here the plan is to script it. When I say script or scripting, it doesn't mean only to put the command in the file. It also means to write some programming logic also on the top of this. Maybe in this file, I run the date count 10 times. Rather than copying the date count 10 times, I will put in the loop. Okay, or maybe I want to run that cal command. Maybe this cal command is not available in this OS. I can add a conditions here. And many more things, huge things, powerful features they have. We will discuss, but I'm just trying to explain you from very basic so you guys can connect the dots, what is going on. So right now, I just try to explain you 2 or 3 things here. One, the topic name, why it's called bash shell scripting course, what we are doing here. Okay, if scripting means automation, shell means I want to interact with my OS as a Linux admin or system admin by command line, CLI, not from the graphical. And bash means this is the program we are using here. Okay, but those who know already that with the scripting we can do automation, so why we use Puppet, Ceph, and other tool, Ansible? Those who know that those tools, I'm just giving this answer to you. Okay, we can use Ansible if you know Ansible tool or Puppet as a tool to automate all those commands in all the ways, but they're not still standard in the market. Okay, they're not supported. For example, if I go to my right now my modem, small modem, I can't set up the Ansible there, or Puppet agent there, or Ceph agent there. Okay, but this has support shell, so I can use the shell, run the commands, and I can use the shell of my modem or the broadband to or Wi-Fi router maybe to run some logics there with the shell logics like if condition and something like this. I think that makes more sense, right? Because this is a very common discussions going on, and a lot of guys is there in the favor of Ansible, use Ansible always, not use shell. I also do. I also a promoter of the Ansible and done multiple training, but okay. But I'm just trying to give a different context or different perspective to think in this way, and why still almost everywhere you see bash shell scripting is still using. That is one of the big reason. Otherwise, as we progress in this program, you will see more perspective and the power of the bash shell. So guys, let's start the thing from very zero. I'm going to use this OS, but I'm not going to use this way of connecting this OS. So let me log out from here. I don't want to use this way. I just very quickly want to show you this screen. Okay. Instead, my OS is running in my cloud, and there's one button here, and they give me this command. I can use this command from my Windows to connect to the OS. That give you better view. You guys can also see very quickly. Okay. And this command I can use from Puppet, PuTTY to connect Or in my case, I have a Windows git bash command prompt or cmd command prompt. So my point, guys, it's your choice how you want to connect. You want to connect the OS this way, you want to connect the OS another way. That will be your choice. I'm using bash program in my Windows to connect. And I'll go to my download folder for some reason. And I use this command to connect. This command is this one to connect. That's all. I say yes, that's all. So I will be landed to the same operating system. So now onward, I'll do all the practicals from the system. What the system is, Linux, where they're running does not matter. But technically, in my case, running on the AWS cloud. It will be run in your local laptop also, or virtual machine also, or inside the Docker also, whichever way you feel comfortable on. Okay. And one more small thing, I'm going to log into my root account. Maybe somewhere we might need the root power. Root is an admin of the Linux, so I need maybe some time I need some admin power. So I want to work directly on the root account. Okay. So let's start our training from very zero. What I explain you, I just want to explain you as a quick overview perspective. Okay, that we are into this training of bash shell scripting. Okay, so let's start from very zero, step by step. Okay, so scripting, you can think is like a programming language, and almost whatever you do in the programming world, we can do it. Okay, creating conditions to variables, and other things also. Okay, so right now you are sitting here. This is a shell, but it's a live programming interface where you can do live programming. For example, you want to print something, we have echo command. As a echo, I want to print hi. Or because hi is a string, you can put in double quote or in single quote also. Almost they are same. So without double quotes also here they work. Or because this is a live prompt, so you can set a variables. For example, x is a variable and I can set the value 5. That's all. Your variable created. And you want to print the value of the variable, you can say, I want to print the value of x. But here, they will print only x because after we put anything about after the echo is like a print command on the print on the screen. Whatever print after the echo, they will treat as a string, they print as a string. But to tell, no, this is not the string, this is the variable, you have to use dollar symbol. To tell this is a variable, go and print the value. So this value will be printed. So this way, guys, how can you set the variable? But any variable you want to change, you can change it the way you normally change other OS also, other programming language also. But if you want to remove the value what you set in the X, this is called unset command. And say whatever value of X has been set, remove it and set it. Now if value is gone, now it becomes like a null. No value defined. Unset we can use sometimes is useful. Okay, this is very simple. But let's say you have a variable called X and you want to print something like the echo I am Vimal, hi X, how are you? Okay, is a single string, the printed it is. Better practice would be because the string, so always try to put in double quotes, they look like is a string, so they print this way. But if you want to replace the value of X with the actual value, let me say the X value would be pop. Okay, is this a value of the X? You can print X also here. But if you want to replace the value of X, you can obviously use dollar to tell this is a variable, not the same simple string. Then you can see this value has been replaced to pop. Okay, but there's a possibility, okay, that let's say X equals to is 7. Obviously, this will be replaced with 7. 7 gonna come up. But let's say I want to print something like this: hi Vimal, I am Vimal, hi 7th. You know, sometimes 7th or 2nd and 3rd. This kind of post key you want to write here. Okay, so yeah, if you give the space, it will work 7th. But I don't want to give the space. I want without the space. I want to work here. Okay, now you know what happened. It won't work. Okay, mostly shells normally won't give much errors. We can control it, but won't give error. They say because they feel xth is variable name, but this variable is not defined, so nothing gonna come up. And that's not defined means nothing is there, like a none. So they give a none here. But for us, we know, okay, x, th, where x is a variable, th is just a string. To differentiate x is a string, so x is a variable, and th is a string. So we put this guy into curly braces. And guys, this is so powerful concept. Not this one, curly braces. I'm just going to show you very powerful concept that is newly added in the latest version of Shell 4 and version 5. And that's what we're learning here. And even though you guys may be advanced shell scripting guys, but most of guys, the knowledge that I'm going to explain you right now in some minute won't know that one. And but that's so powerful, you can do a lot of things. But slowly I'm reaching in some time. Okay, so now you can see this part, what I put in the curly braces, they treat this guy as a variable. They replace the value to 7. And after the curly braces, they treat as a normal string. So they print it. So there's also some use of the curly braces you can do. There's much more use of curly braces. That's curly braces, so powerful concepts. I'll explain you lots of things what curly braces will focus. And if you know, understand the entire power of curly braces, the writing your script and doing something with the script is so quickly and so powerfully you can manage. Slowly I will explain those power. Okay, but this is very some small basic concepts. Those who are very new, I'm just trying to tell you. Okay, now some more things we can do here. For example, let's say x is a variable and I want to put the date. And this one thing, guys, whatever you write, we know date is a command, but whatever you write after equals to, okay, they treat this as a string and they will store as a string. So date as a string they store. But what I want to do, I want to run the date command, and output of the date command I want to store in the x. That's what my plan is. Okay, not the date as a string. I want date command output will store in the x. This kind of output. Okay, so for this, okay, what can we do? We can say x or whatever you have after this is not the string, is a special thing. Treat as a special, and because you treat as special, we to use curly braces. And whatever you put in the curly braces, okay, curly braces is smart. What they say, now I treat this as a command, or now I treat this as a variable. Okay, maybe. Okay, and I will run the date command as a date command, and output date command I will store in the x. Okay, now see what happened. If you see the x, they will print as it is. Why? Because curly braces guys normally work with the dollar symbol. So after dollar only, then they will work as a curly braces, mostly, not always. In this case, because why I'm using dollar here, because output of date command. For example, let me explain this way. For example, on the date command, this is one of the way to run the date command. We can also run the date command this way. Okay, here they give the error. Why? Because when we run the date command this way, we have to use semicolon. Okay, it's not working. Actually, I have to just use a subshell also. Just give me after some time I will explain subshell, then I can explain the proper syntax. But my point here is, if I talk on this point over here. So whenever you run any command, so you want this command output to be stored in the variable. Anything that you want to control as a variable, you have to use dollar. Okay, now if you see, value of the date will be stored. Okay, in the x. Still, they are not storing because there is one concept called subshell. 1 minute, guys. Let me change this symbol. I will explain guys the difference in this symbol and this symbol. Just in some time, this symbol called syntax called subshell, and this is not subshell. So 1 minute, and or maybe in some time in some hour we will discuss. But what I'm trying to show you now, I don't know why something is going on in my mind. So I was trying to emphasize on the curly braces. That's what maybe I mistakenly have written here, but this is what we can do. Okay, don't worry, don't confuse with these two symbols. We will discuss this is exclusive discussion today. We are going to do in the curly braces very detailed. That time I will elaborate why it's not working and what is this this symbol. So again, let me repeat without any confusion. If you want that any command you are running and you want this command output to be stored in the variable, why I need, because there's a lot of command guys you're running. Let's say there's one command, that command will download some data or download some information from the internet. And I want to store this information in some variable. Okay, so that data will use for some other purpose. Okay, so in this context, whichever command you are connecting to internet, we will see some command on this. Okay, I want this command run. They go to internet, for example, or go to some other places. They run it. So we can run this command in this way, and output this command we store in a variable, let's say y. Okay, that's what they store here. Okay, this command will be date, cal, or curl command, or lots of other commands. Okay, whichever command who give output, that output we can store in some variable, and this variable we can use some other logics. For example, this data come up, cut the data, slice the data, put the data here, do this thing, put in the loop. So lots of things we can control. After having the data in the variable, we can do lots of control on it. Okay, same thing we can do in one more way. Without using this syntax, there's one more syntax we can use. Okay, so we can use date command, and you want to run or give the output date command in some other variable. So we can use backquote also, not single quote, backquote. And let me put in the chat. This is also one of the syntax most of the cell support. Let me check here. They also support this. So either you can use this syntax or this syntax. Okay, you can use both. This syntax mostly we recommend. Why? When I talk about the sub-cell concept or sub-process concept or sub-child concept, I will explain you this concept that time in very detail. Okay, so my point here is, if you want to create a variable, store data directly, this is the way. Or you want, no, first I want some command, and output of this command will stored in my variable. That's ls is a command in Linux. Okay, then that's also you can store. Now ls had no data actually, so that's what it doesn't store anything. ls is list command. But let's say I'm going to create some file, touch a.txt, touch b.txt, touch c.txt. 3 files I want to create, and I want this list will store in my variable. That's for the store. So in this variable, all the files may be stored. So we can use this variable in some for loop and do something on this file, copy here and there, doing backup. That's what we'll see in some time. Okay, this is also possible. Now, let's do some more basic thing. Right now, I'm creating a variable by giving a data. Let's I'm going to put a data Harry. It's a string you can store in this way, or you can give in this way, whatever the way you feel like. Okay, so will be stored in y. But rather than you giving this variable directly with the value, okay, or rather than give this data as directly as static value or hard-coded value, you can use read command here. Is again shell command. Read like a take the input from the customer or the users, like a prompt. Okay, so when I read the prompt open, and now let's say I want to store the jack will store. Or where the jack is stored, you to give a variable name. So I can give a variable name, let's say p variable. Then let me use the again jack. So jack is the data I'm giving as my live prompt or as a user with the user interaction, and store in a variable code p. So rather than we store in this way, we can take the input from the customer. And now if we try to see, you can see in this variable jack store. Or maybe we can do in some this way, read. Okay, because when you run the read, they're not showing you anything what you are asking, right? So you can say read, I'm going to give a prompt. Prompt would be enter your name, then colon, then space, and then store in an envelope. Now the prompting, read is prompting with this message. Now it's very clear that you're asking for the name. I give my name is stored in the variable called n, and this n can be stored here. And much more thing we can do with the read. Okay, so for example, in the read, let's say you want to restrict, you're asking some data from the customer, and you have a limit that you're asking the country name, or you're asking the IP addresses, and you know the length. This is the maximum length. I can't allow more than this. So for this, we can set There's one more value you can set, argument called n. And let's say I'm setting the only limit 2 character. Okay, so read is a one command of shell, and there's multiple options they have. They will give a prompt name, like a label, and is limiting the number of character, or this n is like a variable. Let me give a variable name called my name. Is a variable name. Enter. Now I'm trying to give my name, let's say VIC here. As soon as I type to, automatically prompt close. Okay, just by typing to, automatically they stop. And now in this variable called my name, only initial 2 characters come. Okay, so sometimes useful, maybe in useful area would be this data, this program is asking the input, as soon to input come up, they take, and next they go to next command. Or maybe data is coming from the internet. I'll show you in the upcoming classes, data coming from the internet, and in the internet we can filter something, and out of filter we'll say as soon as this 2 character come up, 10 character come up, I'll take this data and go to next line. So lots of combination we can try with the concept of piping and network connectivity. We will see in upcoming discussion. I'm just giving you multiple options here, but you don't have to memorize these options. Mostly commands have the help. For example, if you go for read and see the help of this, have an H is a way mostly we can see the help. And here they give you the usage. The read command, you can use P options for prompt. That's what I use here. You can use N for characters. That's what I use here. There's one more N here. There's some slight difference. As we progress, I will talk about the difference of this N. So these are small things. Now, because guys, this cell, so all the internal facility and the feature of shell I'm using here. After practice this, we can put all those concepts in a script. This being a cell scripting. For example, I can create a script with the name, let's say my, is like file, and in the file you can give any extension whatever you feel like, but it's good practice to give sh as an extension to tell somebody that this is not a normal file, it's a scripting file. Okay, and all the things you can write here. For example, here I can write read p, enter your file name. Okay, enter a file name to create. What a file name they create, they use here, I can store in a name called file name variable. Okay, and now what a file name they give me? Okay, I will go and create this with the touch command. Touch my file. Now my file is a variable, so I can create a dollar here. So let's say I give a file name called hello.txt. So they store in this variable. I'll take the value of the file name and create touch command. Touch is a command in next to create the file. Simple script created. Nothing very fancy, but it's created. Okay. Now this is the files we have right now. But when I run this script, because this script is created in a bash shell scripting format, so I can use a bash command to run it. Okay, like this is like an interpreter to run this script. I hit enter. They ask me the file name. I say my file name is hi.txt. They take this name and they create the file for me, and this file created here. Okay, but there's no guarantee that file is created or not. Maybe file may fail. They might not create. Okay, so here we can check the conditions. We can add some conditions here and say if the file is not created, then do this. So we can write a conditions. Okay, and guys, whenever you want to write any conditions, okay, then or checking any conditions, then we can use some kind of concept called test. Okay, what I mean by this? For example, when you're running any command, okay, when you run any command, this command runs successfully. Behind the scene, whenever run a command, your command is run by a shell. Okay, and when the command runs successfully, your command behind the scene send a status code. The status code is also known as exit code, and the code either fail or success. And mostly in the Linux, if the command runs successfully, the exit code is 0, and they stored in a special variable called question mark. Okay, because shell is the one who runs this command, so shell is stored the exit code of this command in the question mark variable. It's a special variable we have. For example, X variable we created and we created, but this is special variable. And you want to print any variable value, you can use $, and with the echo command, you can print it. The 0 means this last command runs successfully. But let's say I run the date one command is failed, this wrong command. Okay, behind the scene, they stored the failure code. Any number apart from 0 is failure, like 127. Okay, so typically, whenever run any command, every command behind the scene giving, because run by shell, so shell is keep on tracking, and they're storing the success code or the status code, typically known as exit code, in this special variable. Okay, now we can use this variable for test something. For example, I want to test the date command runs successfully or not. I know it's run successful because the output counter come up, because right now you are running this command manually. But if this command run by script, you are not there on the front of the script, right? They're running behind the scene, or maybe an automated way. Okay, there I want somebody on my behalf, rather than looking at the output, they can see the command run successfully or not. If run successfully, we can go to next command. If not, we can either send the mail or send some notification or run some other alternative, or we stop the program there if the command is very critical. So we have to test it. Okay, and for testing, what can we do? We have a keyword called test by the shell. Okay, with test, what can you do? For example, let me test 1 is equals to 1, or let me test does high is equals to high. Okay, equal to high. So like equality operator, like normal programming language, we have equal to, greater than, less than, not equals to, something like this. Okay, does this string is equal to string? Obviously yes. Test on it. And again, test guys store this data in this special variable. Okay, and if you run this safe, you can see 0. This means they're equal. But if I say hi is equals to hello, obviously they are both the string are not equal. So you can see some other number commands where it does fail. 0 means pass, 1 will fail. Okay, so you can use this, or maybe we can write, does this hello is not equals to this one? Okay, it's true, it's not equal to this, true. 0 means success. So test is a keyword by the shell. We can test by writing some conditions operators. Same thing about a test. Does 5 is equals to 5? Okay, 0. Does 5 is equals to 6? Sorry, question mark. Let me again run. 5 equals 6? No, 2. We can run it. Okay, but one more thing, guys, because right now we're using one of the latest version of shell. Okay, if you want to do an equality operator between the string, this symbol we can use: double equals to, not equals to, greater than equals to, less than equals to. But if you want to check the equality operator between the numbers, this symbol is supporting in this version. For example, does 5 is less than 6? Obviously it's true, it's less than 6. Okay, by chance they give this error because of the symbol. What is the meaning of the symbol we'll discuss. Okay, in this way we can write this is a special symbol in the cell. We'll discuss about the symbol. That's what they give the error, but it's working right now. But in the older version, this syntax doesn't work, right? So if you want to compare the numbers, so instead we have this symbol and this symbol. Normally we have a symbol, we have a special keyword that's called EQ. That's the equal. Obviously they're not equal, so they give the error 1. Thus they are not equal. Obviously they're not equal, so this condition true. Then they gave you true. 2 means 0. 1. 0 means true, means success. 1 means false, means failure. Okay, does 5 is less than equals to 6? Yes, is less than equals to is true. Does 5 is greater than equals to 6? No, it's not greater than, it's false. Okay, so it is now your choice between the number. If you want to do any conditional checking, either you can use this symbol or this keyword, I can say, with the test command, or you can use this symbol also that we normally use in our programming language. But in the string, okay, we can typically use this symbol, greater than, less than, not equals to. Okay, but in this version of shell scripting, we are using version 4 and above. they support both the symbols. Whatever you feel like you can use. But in some of the older version, this doesn't support. So this doesn't support in the numbers, but here the support. Okay. So test we can use for test the conditions. So now what can we do? Okay, we can run the date command, and the output of date command, the success or fail stored in this variable. Now we can ask the test command, okay, ask the test command that if this value is equals to 0, or because both things are number, so you can use this symbol, or number we can use EQ also. EQ means equal, because numbers, a good practice is to use this keywords, okay, in the numbers. Okay, so date command behind this in give me exit code that's stored in this variable. Does this value is equals to 0? It means my command runs successfully. And how can I check? With echo again. If this command runs successfully, then 0 comma. That means did run successfully. Okay, but why I go in this longer way? Okay, because right now I'm checking with the echo symbol. Okay, rather I check by myself in this way, we can prompt, we can print it that the commands run successfully. How can we print? We have way, multiple way. Okay, one way we can use this condition inside the if, how we will discuss. Other way, I'm going to talk first. Okay, so what I want to do here, whenever I run a command, right now we are running date command. So guys, this discussion is not on the date command, any command, yum command, creating a person, setting some SC Linux, setting the firewalling, downloading some data, doing some backup. It will be any command. Okay, I'm taking a one simple command so that everybody can understood the concept when we focus on the main concept. But you guys can change this command to whatever command you know in the next, and you will know in this Discord out or anything anywhere. Okay, so my point here is what I want. I'm going to run the read command, and then I'll test this command runs successfully or not. Okay, this test done successfully, but I know this command does not showing you anything here. Doesn't showing me anything here. I want to have proper prompt come up or proper output come up. Hey, run command successfully or is not running successfully, something like this. We can check by myself in this way, but this is not the better approach look like. So see here 0, okay, then check, does not look good. So what can we do? And there's one interesting concept, guys, in Linux. For example, if you want to run multiple command in one go, date command, then cal command in one go, in one line. So we can write date, then semicolon, then cal, then semicolon, less ls. This also can be done. So for date run, then cal run, then ls run. But in this way, if by chance some of the command you write wrong, it does not impact the next command. Date one run fail does not matter, but cal run. And list command also run. It does not impacting anything.